Nonz, the Angelica project. Okay, so this is heavily been awaited ever since I put it in writing in my head. I made the exact day where I dropped the AMV that I'm going to make a non-special based off that last AMV I have posted. It's a beautiful story about why I made that AMV in the first place, why I made that story behind why I literally went all out in that video, why I explained how much trouble I went through in junior high, how I explained everything, how music became less passionate, all because of literally the trenches, the slugs, and I want people to understand that this is not just the symbolism of the message behind that entire video, but this is literally how I came up with the writing process, the severe and treacherous ideas I got from that AMV were just out of this world. And I want you guys to understand that literally this is going to be a very mature non-special, and I want to clarify what that last big ass video was for. What I want to state is this, okay? So that last video, that 8th grade references and Nonz video, that legendary greatness, that was basically for how much work, how much references, and literally how much you attempt to portray a golden message that was literally once a life moral has gotten slandered nowadays. So what happens is literally we live in a generation that thinks they can literally make writing an excuse for lack of entertainment. So what this non-special is about, it has nothing to do with that per se, but what that actually means is that this is a non-special referencing how America got this way, how America got less passionate in general. So this is a very heavy non-special based off that, and that is the whole reason why I made that 8th grade greatness video. Okay, so that was the whole point of it. That's based off that video as a whole, not just the AMV. But what really struck me is that literally I had this really outstanding idea that I just cannot wait to drop. I'm like, hold on. This is too much for a brain blast, literally. I don't want to send people in outer space for this one. So this one is going to be a great one. But before I go into detail about what the non-special is about, this is a very good video. It's going to be at least a 30-minute video, all dedicated to Nonz, yes. Because this is literally a really big, fat project that I literally got in my head. I'm like, before I go into detail, I have to state that this non-special will be a spoiler special, but I won't state any spoilers in this video, but it will take place in a further timeline of Nonz because of how much polished and how great this idea is. I'm not going to rush this idea just for people to literally slander it, okay? This is not going to be a slandered project at all. I'm going to take as much time as possible as it takes to get this down because I already have so many Nonz projects ahead. Why would I drop a Nonz project video when you're already awaiting several specials and we're currently on Nim's Island or Rim's Island, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. But anyway, let me go into what makes Nonz specials literally separate from the show and literally why they are a part of the continuity, but they are not 100% canon. What I'm trying to tell you is that there is a different purpose. So you know, like when I get you hyped for a Nonz movie special, like the Fortress of the Vampires, literally Curse of the Elephant statue, the Valentine's Day special, etc. So the current Nonz special we're working on right now is literally Rim's Island, and right now I'm in the process of getting that. You know, I'm not too literally. Don't expect part 2 to come out for a while, but literally just understand that I put a lot of effort into part 1, but this is the message behind that. Okay, so I want to get this front facing. So why do I say, oh, Valentine's Day special is gonna be better than this and this special? Why are you telling us the future if the Valentine's Day special is always gonna be better than this and that? Okay, so I want to honestly make you understand that there is a different meaning for every non-special. Like Fortress of the Gothic Vampires is literally my love for punk rock. There's a theme to every Nonz movie, so they're all going to be subjective. I have to let you know that each and every non-special proves a different point, and literally highlights a different point in society and literally highlights literally a different aspect of what I like. Like Curse of the Elephant statue, I'm gonna give you a hint right now. It's inspired by Lion King. That's the reason why I say it's gonna be better than the Valentine's Day special. Curse of the Elephant statue is literally a reference to the time where I used to love the Lion King for everything it was, for how much it loved African culture and everything. Curse of the Elephant statue is literally based off of the Lion King, okay? So I want to put that out there. So that's what's going to make it better than the Valentine's Day special. It's not going to be literally as action on action on action. That is why it's plot based, and the Valentine's Day special is based off overall entertainment. That's why we have various things that happen in the Valentine's Day special, okay? So that's why I say Valentine's Day special will be better than the Fortress of the Gothic Vampires, because of literally the different things. The Fortress of the Gothic Vampires expresses my love for punk rock, and just like the current one we're on, Rim's Island, that expresses my love to CP9. What literally ever the references is literally gonna tell you how good the movie's gonna be, but they're all on the same level, just in different contexts. So I'm gonna let you know they're all gonna be subjective, but I'm telling you right now, if you're talking about overall entertainment, Nonz Valentine's Day special will always be the mark. The whole reason why I made that was for you guys to recognize what Nonz is, literally what it brought, and literally how it created a brand new feel and continuity. And there are some more ideas that are in my head, but I'm saying we got for later on. Like, I have a couple more ideas for Nonz movies, but I'm not trying to get too piled up. But so far, literally, what I have to tell you is the reason why I have that many specials so far is because those are based off of the One Piece specials that I used to watch in 8th grade. The One Piece movies I used to watch in 8th grade is the reason why we have so many Nonz specials. And the whole point of Nonz specials also is to show you characters that don't really have a lot of screen time in the show, like Lily, are always portrayed in the specials, just to give you Lily what the show can't give you. But you know, that doesn't take away from the show. The show is an actual arc, and the show is actually something you got to put a lot more thought into. And I'll put it like this: you may say that the Valentine's Day special, Lily, there's no chance of the big out arc Lily topping that. I'm gonna tell you why. You see how I put all the effort into the Valentine's Day special in terms of that? I put even more effort into the thought process of Big Al. That is what I mean. So you'll understand once I portray it and stuff like that. So I don't want you to focus on anything specific. I want you to understand that once it's out there, you'll get what I'm saying. So let's go into the plot and the theme of this Nonz special. So this is the Angelica project of Nonz. So this is the main character of this Nonz movie special is gonna be based off the way that Angelica was rapping in the AMV that I recently just posted. So this is basically going to be a rapping Angelica. Basically, it's not gonna have a rap per se, but it's literally what the correct definition of rap is. Literally, like, Angelica's passion of rap is gonna fuel her motivation throughout this entire movie. So this is based off what if Angelica wanted to learn how to rap, and what if Angelica literally did 100% of her homework. So this is Angelica ruling the entire world with her passion. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail. So what happens is Angelica becomes a really strong character in this Nonz TV special, this Nonz movie special. This is going to be one of the greatest specials of Nonz Lily, and I can guarantee you it's going to be better than the Valentine's Day special because of Lily. So what this is Lily. So I'm going to start off with the name of the main character of this Nonz special. Her name is Stangelica. Stan is based off Lily. Angelica's love for rapping, and her name in this special is Stangelica. So how does this all pan out? What gives her the motivation to take over the whole world? So I'm gonna give you a rundown of Lily. The picture in your head that you're supposed to get before I drop Lily. This is gonna be very far, probably not even like very close pretty soon. It's probably gonna be like the 9th special at least. So it's gonna be really, the reason why is just I don't want anybody slandering this idea because Lily, I really thought of this. So I'm gonna give you a hint. If you want a Nonz character made, like, you know how I make certain characters for my girls and stuff like that, like Lily, I literally take other aspects and put them in the Nonz. If you want a Nonz character, it has to be with motivation. I have to have the motivation to do it, and literally, I also have to have the inspiration to do it. Like, say for example, for Stangelica, I had the AMV for my inspiration. It has to be something really passionate about. Like, I have to literally state that if you want your own Nonz character, you have to literally contribute to something that is honored in order for that to actually be put in actually, for you to have a shot as a Nonz character, you have to put in a lot of work in order for that to happen. It's very important because I already have all the space to do stuff. I have Bree, I have Layla, I have so many other heavy projects to work on. And if you want to have your own character in Nonz, you have to put in a lot of work. I don't have a lot of slots filled. So let's go on to the story of Angelica and why does he have the motivation to take over the world. So here's what happens. So the movie plot is Angelica literally defeating every single person on the planet Earth and literally making a fortress in the sky. Literally, she has a spaceship that's literally kind of like the Tower of Heaven from Fairy Tale, kind of like the Eiffel Tower, literally. So what happens is this. So what happens is Angelica becomes literally a government mastermind, and she controls the entire world, and she gets a UFO base in the sky, and literally she becomes the most powerful figure literally in Nonz. And so the whole entire movie is to try to take her down. But how does she get that powerful? It all came from her passion of poetry. So how it starts off is literally, what she's trying to do is she's a heavy fan of hip-hop. That's why her name is Angelica, based off Stan the Song and Eminem and the way Angelica was rapping in the AMV. So this is literally Angelica's project. So how does this all come about? So first off, I have to get this out the way, that I have a cousin named Jeremy who is really smart, and I was going to save literally cousin Jeremy for a video for season 2, but I have to drop it in season 3. So Jeremy is going to star in this movie alongside with Angelica. So Jeremy, when I hung out with him, literally was one of my favorite cousins. He is still my favorite cousin to this day. It's just weird, it's just different because we grew up and stuff like that. And literally, what happened was this: back when we were little kids, I used to call him Jerry Bear. Now I don't call him that now because he's an adult, but you have to understand, literally, when we were little kids, like when I was in 7th grade and stuff like that, literally, I used to call him Jerry Bear. That was his nickname. Like we would play video games together. He would read my comic book. I nicknamed him Jerry Bear. So Angelica's little brother's name is Jeremy. Jeremy, based off how I used to call my favorite cousin Jerry Bear. And if you want a little bit more of an insider, Jeremy is Uncle David's youngest son. So I get along with Jeremy just fine. So Angelica is Jeremy's older sister. So literally, this is literally crazy. So literally, what Jeremy does is, Jeremy's power is to hack. So Jeremy is going to be a heavy hacker, and literally what he is doing is he's trying to save Angelica from her tunnel vision, which is really passionate. You see, what Angelica's goal is, I'll get into it once I go to the storyline, but let's go into it. Jeremy is going to be in more than one Nonz special because of his power and because of literally how resourceful he is. So Jeremy is going to like literally be in more than one Nonz special, but so far I only have him for 2, and I don't think I'm gonna do another one, but I definitely gotta be more than one. So literally, Angelica's story starts off like this. She has a love for poetry. She has a love for hip-hop. So what happens is she tries out for an audition, and literally what drives her passion is she's kind of like, you know, an old friend of mine that was always into Illuminati conspiracy theories. Literally, she's just like that. She was always heavy on the mainstream government, how the mainstream acts. Literally, she doesn't like how rappers aren't allowed to say what they are in their songs. Literally, she's very aware how the government works as a whole. She knows how the military works and stuff like that. Literally, but it doesn't get to her. It didn't get to her until this moment. What happened is she was perfectly fine with how the government acts because she still has her family. She was very like observant, very appreciative of life at office, and because of that is literally her love for music is also what keeps her everyday work, stops her from hating the mainstream government until she actually put it to the test. What happens is Angelica tries out for an audition, and it's a porn/rapper audition. And so what happens is Angelica really does good. Angelica tries her best. Literally, she literally does what nerds try to do. She said what nerds do today is that they make up excuses. Like they'll say that My Hero Academia is better than Dragon Ball Z because of the way it's written versus how entertaining it is. What Angelica did in this audition is actually what nerds try to do right. So what nerds do is like when you try to correct them saying that it's not entertaining, they try to come back at you saying, well, if you go back to the lore, if you go back to the originality, if you go back to literally how anime was made as a whole and what they're referencing, you'll understand that no anime has done that before and shit like that, where that doesn't matter. If you really want to get technical, Angelica does what those nerds say, done right and this or this, and see, Lily states how the government was made, Lily, this and that, all in one rap, all in one poem, see, Lily, see all this and this and that, see, actually stated the real way how you're supposed to represent. What she does is she makes a poem and she enters the competition, but she does it in Mr. Pleasure way. Mr. Pleasure reads tons and tons and tons of books. So what she does is she actually did literature done right. She referenced why we should be more eloquent, why we should be more sophisticated in society, how the alien ancestors fought hard for us, did this and that, and they didn't accept her in they turned her down after she had the most actual real message, the biggest passion for her message with Angelica, Lily, when she's really writing about real stuff, and other people got away with vulgar language, really rapping about like hoes, really pimps and that, really, and they all surpassed her, and she was mad and she was infuriated. So what she did was, I'm going to take the mainstream government down, I'm going to destroy the world government, I'm going to do everything, Lily. So what she does is she practiced for a year. What she does is, Lily, she does have a quirk, she does have her power. Her power is, Lily, in visionary writing, and what that is Lily, what she does is she's very, very smart and she's very book smart. So what she does, she's done research on top of research on top of research, and she converts her quirk into her research. So what she does is how she defeats every single person on the planet, and she has an idea and she executes it. That's what visionary writing is. So what she does is she takes the Dr. Dre formula and applies it to each and every villain, and she's able to even be Kazik. She's able to beat everybody, not based on her skill level, but based on the element of surprise. What she had in her mind and how she executed her plan is how Lily she escaped each and every fight. So what she does is she tested out in a real fight. She's a little good at taijutsu. She's a little good at hand-to-hand combat. But what happens is this. So what happens is this. She escapes each and every fight, and she gets information on top of information on top of information. And so what happens is she gathers enough information in order to take the mainstream government down. And what she does is, Lily, instead of focusing on winning the fight, she takes traits and she steals powers and she gets ideas, and then she goes back to her base, Lily. So she, after each and every fucking moment, what she does is she's basically like this movie named Lucy. Like how a girl acted to the was able to activate other parts of her brain in order to become a superhuman. Angelica becomes a superhuman the same way. She does things that you will normally not see her accomplish because of the way she's doing it. Like she can Lily, what she does is because she has visionary writing as her power, everything that she does, because she has her power to back her up, everything that she wants to happen happens because she puts in the work for it to happen. So it's like that. So Lily, what happens is whatever she envisions is how the fight outcome turns into. So Lily, what happens is the situation becomes her envision. So what she envisioned and how she executed is how the fight turns out. So that's how she's able to beat everyone on Earth because of that. And Barry the whole time saying, Angelica, stop! You're my sister! So Barry contacts Gabaya and the gang, and Gabaya's job and the whole entire government's job is to take down Angelica. So she becomes so powerful that she negotiates with the Gorosei of the Nonz universe. If you don't know who the Gorosei is, the Gorosei are political figures in One Piece, and she gets the Royal Congress up in the sky, and she is living on a big ass space shuttle, literally up in the sky, a big ass spaceship that looks like shit you see on Star Wars, Stelvia. She literally has a Stelvia fortress in the fucking sky, and she's literally rolling with the most popular people, the strongest people, literally, the strongest people on Earth that are basically Gorosei level is who are protecting her. She persuaded the strongest people because of her passion. What she did was she went to the government base and she told them, like, we are here to protect the young. I'm gonna tell you why this world's corrupt. So Angelica gets the whole entire government on her side because of her reasoning. She had a perfectly good reason. So Barry's best is to Angelica. It doesn't matter if you're right, it's still tunnel vision. And that's why she's able to get away with each and every fight. This movie special is based off Gundam Wing, Stelvia, Justice League Unlimited. Anything you have to understand about superheroes in space has to do with this Angelica movie. She did all this based off passion, based off her doing the most homework, based off her literally putting the most and being rejected by a society that was full of shit. So she had the purest intention at any Nonz antagonist. That's what made her the strongest. She's basically able to square up with Genevieve, so she is the same power level of Genevieve, but way more crafty. She's as powerful as Genevieve and as smart as Motohiro. Angelica literally goes to the deepest depths of Earth, literally. So what she does is each and every fight, she does her research about what her capabilities are, I mean, there are opponents he's about to face. Literally, she does her research, on top of research, on top of research. Literally, before she gets into each and every fight, this is all a part of her grand plan, her grandmaster's game. So she takes elements that she's know are gonna cancel out other powers, and she brings them back to her base. And so basically, she has this long elaborated plan, and she contacted the girl Say to literally put the icing on the cake. Every time she fights somebody, it's to see where her weakness is. So she dips out and sees what each and every villain's weakness is, who each and every hero's weakness is, and she becomes unstoppable because she did the most research, because she put in the most work. And literally, everything that wasn't awarded by that audition, she gets rewarded by the world. And literally, she gets to control outer space and the sky, and she becomes a really big galactic government threat, and she is really, really powerful. Her biggest power, you know how Giovanni, he can use separate quirks and literally use anyone's quirk at will, but he can only use it for limited times? What she does is her power basically is not to literally repulse your quirk, is the way she has the idea is literally takes your quirk and use it against you. I hate you, Horikoshi. I wanted a smooth name like quirk to be for a power and Nonz. So if you don't know, like, it's not ninjutsu or shit like that. It's called power and Nonz. It's just called power because basically I hate Horikoshi. He has such a slick name for a power. She becomes very, very, very powerful. Really, really, really out there, Lily. She takes other people's powers too and uses them for samples and shit. Like, see, Lily, you can do that in Nonz. You can take other people's powers and Lily add them to objects in order for them to have a tool. Like, you can do that in Nonz. Like, Lily, you can literally switch quirks for like a minute for an object. You can apply a power to an object, but it's really, it has to be within range. You have to be physically strong. This handicaps that comes with that power. Like, Lily, there's a catch-22 coming with everything in Nonz, Lily. Like, I'll give you a hint. There's one person that I'm saving for the future that's actually going to have an OP power on the outside. Like, there's going to be somebody who could probably trap you, literally control the environment, but the catch-22 is that he's physically weak, and all you have to do is hit him once. That's how some villains are in Nonz. So, Lily, don't think that that's like Lily having. What she does is she takes concepts like that and she uses them against each and every opponent. I was thinking all day and all night, like 180% at this point about Angelica's character. So don't think that literally I was literally thinking all day. I was literally gazing in my own little world thinking about this. It was really such an amazing idea. So I'm going to go into a little bit of a reference. So there's going to be somebody who's going to help Gabaya out, and Kurama MGTOW is confirmed for the Angelica project. So if you don't know who Kurama is the guy who inspired me to make the talk videos in general. He also inspired me to make my own MGTOW channel. So literally, Kurama MGTOW is confirmed, and so he's going to be a very mystic character, and Kurama literally works on the same level. I don't have a name for him yet, but literally, Kurama MGTOW is confirmed for this Angelica movie. Do you know why? It's because Kurama literally talks about life, and he's very understanding. Literally, he loves rap too. He is a real visionary. He really makes you imagine when he talks. He's a very mystic person. So literally, he's a very mysterious person too. So he's gonna get his own character, but he's gonna be in several Nonz specials, and he is gonna be in like Nonz some of the arcs. But you know, I'll put it like this: he's gonna have his own gang too. That's going to Lily. What his gang does is he has a mystic gang that's always in Nonz. So Kurama is confirmed in Nonz. Kurama MGTOW, not Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. I'll link his channel in the description. So he has a power, and it's called White Widow. If you don't know what White Widow is a strain of marijuana. So it's because of how chill Kurama is on his video channel, and just like that is the same of literally how this guy is. I don't have a name for him yet, but I'm telling you, this guy is what I need. So what he does is he can create mist out of smoke, and he can do anything that the marijuana plant can. You know how weed can expand, you know how weed can be sticky, you know how you can light weed on fire, you know how you can do this and that. That is his power. He's kind of a jack of all trades. He's like Kazik Dachihiro, but with one freaking power. It's to control the white strain, and whatever the white strain of Lily, that he also has some puppet imagery behind him. He has the Godfather complex of Lily. White Widow, the strings of the White Widow is connected to the Godfather, the Sopranos, and all that. Everything that has to do with being a mob boss. So what he does is he has knowledge of a mob boss, but he uses this specific marijuana plant. It's not gonna be like a marijuana plant, but it's gonna do everything. This plant can create illusions. This plant can do this and that. This is a really crazy. This plant can create mist. Anything that we can do basically is what he can do with his power, but he does it, and he also controls the strings. He's a master of martial arts. So literally, he can make strings out with. You know how you can like turn weed into anything? what makes his power like a handicap, he can turn him into anything, is that literally what he has to do is literally he had to get a specific material in order to turn the White Widow strain into strings, so he can literally use his Godfather complex. So he had to handicap his quirk a little bit, so now he literally can use it a little bit more freely because he's a master of martial arts, but it's kind of complicated. You see, he's a really mystic fighter, and he has a whole gang that is just as mysterious as him. It's really got to add on to literally the freaking feel of this literally special. Angelica is going to be really, really OP, so Gabaya needs him in order for the icing to be put on the cake. And this is also referencing all the passion it took to make that AMV. You know what, if somebody can like assist me in actually writing this, I'm thinking of putting that Looney Tunes, that version of the Looney Tunes in this movie, because it happens to do with outer space. So Gabaya might be able to make, like, Gabaya might be able to wear a space costume like the Looney Tunes are wearing. Like, we may be able to like get different space suits for the characters. Nonz is gonna be crazy, really, 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 really outstanding. You might be able to see Gabaya in superhero outfits. Who knows, literally anything, literally, that has to do with supernatural and controlling the government, literally. So she is literally this. She has a Gundam up in the sky. Angelica can also control Gundam figures. She does have a toy soldier-like ability, but it's not really toy soldiers because literally, I can kind of say she uses Barbie girls. She does use toys to her advantage. Don't get me wrong. She can add a soul to her toy, like. Because of that, like, that's not a really what she has to do. Is she has to take somebody who already can summon toy soldiers, so she has to steal it from somebody else. That's what Angelica does. So it's not really bringing a soul to her toy. She's not OP. It's how she uses her power. And my passion for hip hop, my love for Eminem, everything has to do with this. If you didn't know, I made this beat for the video. I specifically made this beat for the video, let you knowing that I am a visionary. It's myself. I love Eminem, I love, you know, Naruto, I love, you know, all those aspects. You have to understand, like, literally. So I specifically chose this beat that I made for this video just to complete the feel, just to let you know that is who she is. Literally, she is an visionary in this, and wherever she envisions is how the fight plays out. That is Angelica's power. So her ice in the cake, her ace in the hole in this movie, what she's planning to do is, because she is a heavy fan of music, because she is a heavy fan of rap, she has the ultimate Gundam that's kind of smaller than the other Gundam but has different abilities. And what she's trying to do is she's trying to create the ultimate robot, the ultimate superhuman robot, and she's trying to call it the Superman Project. Literally, the Superman figure. She's trying to make a robot and she's trying to call it Superman, basically, based off the song Superman from Eminem. So Angelica is a heavy rap enthusiast. This is all gonna go down. So the main members of Nonz, you know, everybody who was necessary is gonna be in, and they're all trying to take down Angelica. And Baramy is crying, literally trying to get his big sister back. And Angelica is becoming pure fucking evil, literally. Her motives, but in her mind she is right, and that's how you become literally mentally insane, literally. She did all this for the right reason, but she took it too far. And a lot of people have that concept in life. A lot of people have good intentions, but literally take it too far and are inconsiderate about how things actually play out as a whole. But some people actually have the best intentions but don't know what the full story is. It's based off all that. It's based off literally passion and what's the great thing about passion, but why you can't let your passion give you tunnel vision. And this is the meaning of Angelica's character. So this is the confirmation. This is the character design. So if you see a scouter, she doesn't use a scouter all the time, but she does have eyeliner. She wears a lot of bracelets. So basically, she is based off the Angelica and how she was rapping in that last AMV. I'm going to link the AMV in the description below. I'm going to link the video that the AMV is connected to. I'm also going to link you the Kurama MGTOW channel to give you a really good feel, to make you envision what is going to go down. So if you are also watch Stelvia, I'll give you a link where you can watch Stelvia too. So Lily, so you can get a big feel about Lily, what her character is about to do with Lily, how she's about to take over the government, this and that. You'll understand that. So Angelica is really my heaviest idea in Nonz. It was what I'm most anticipated for, what I'm most excited to do. Lily, her ambience, Lily, everything that is cold about her. I love the idea of Angelica. I love Angelica because Lily, another thing of why I have to stick this video, the reason why I made that AMV was to be reverse psychology for, you know, trolls and nerds and hackers and like all those other dumb shit. Do you know what that AMV was made for? So if you go back to that AMV, which is I'm about to link in the description, you will understand that some of those shows had a really bad rating on TV, like Rugrats All Grown Up, who's Angelica is based off of. Lily, Rugrats All Grown Up got really bad TV ratings. Really horrible, because you know why? It dropped at a time where Lily, we're used to old Rugrats. Like, why are they teenagers? It's like, you know, trying to make Rugrats the teenagers are a really bad thing. Because Lily, some people can say that it's all drip, like the way Tommy looks. Oh, Tommy has drip, but there's no substance to his show, and this and that. And once you get older, it's a completely wrong concept. You see, the reason why children have such high standards is because, like, Lily, they don't know right from wrong, and they haven't experienced life. So what I did recently, what gave me the idea to watch All Grown Up in the first place, is Lily, I was thinking about it because you know why I have a thing where I take like old cartoons that have really mature things that Lily, I watch and not work and shit like that. I get other people involved based off the intellectual property. Oh, this cartoon has a cool theme song. Like Lily, all the girls are watching me at work and shit like that. Lily loving it, pretending to be some of the cartoon characters at my fucking job. I swear, it fucking happened. Like Alexis Rhodes from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, a girl named Alexis was at my job, so it was fine as fuck. Okay, so Lily, that is the whole meaning. So the reason why I made that A and B was to let you know it's not the fact that the show is bad, it's the fact that people watching it aren't having an open mind. They keep on comparing it to something. Notice how the Lunatics, at least the one in the All Grown Up, had really bad ratings on TV, but that was back in the day when we were expecting too much because they came right after the Looney Tunes and right after. You can say it's lackluster, you can say it's this and that, because you can say that the idea isn't being executed good enough, and when you get older, I'm like, no, I had to say cut. Like Lily, that idea is more than good enough, the execution is more than good enough, it's just not good enough for a little kid, which is it's based off of, which is why you can't make paper definitions forever. Do you know why? It's because I had the idea of watching All Grown Up. I'm like, hey, I remember that Rugrats show back when I was a little kid, because when you're a grown man, you get used to liking anything. You don't really have too much standards. You don't hold people up to a justice standard. You don't hold people up to standards, because I've been through a time where I'm just happy to be alive. So anything can make me happy. Anything positive can make me happy. Like Lily, I don't like how you paid me homage, but you didn't have this delivery. I'll never think like that. That's not how a grown man thinks. Do you know why? Because that same thing can be criticized about All Grown Up, about those two shows that were there before Courage, when they're just as mature as Courage. You see, they had great execution and stuff like that, but you actually have to have a teenage mind, so you have to actually think about what the represent. That All Grown Up show was really dark, and so is the Lunatics Unleashed. You have to understand, Mr. Enter even dissed Lunatics Unleashed one time, and I love Mr. Enter. That's to show you I'm not biased. I love Mr. Enter. I'm probably one of the biggest Mr. Enter fans out there, and he criticized the Looney Tunes cartoon that was in that A and B, saying that it was poorly executed and this and that, and I get where he's coming from. At a critic standpoint, is bad, but what if you want to just chill and be casual? You just feel like watching something. You just feel like being entertained instead of criticizing it. It's the best thing ever. With the drip and that is what I'm trying to tell you. That same formula, how Lily, I just feel like watching something entertaining. Lily, how pretty it is versus Lily, the writing aspect of Lily, how you filter out it. Yeah, it's not as funny as some of the other ones. The delivery is not the same, but it's not Lily for the audience that it was released on. Rugrats All Grown Up and Lunatics Unleashed were ahead of the time. Things that I'm praised nowadays are what those cartoons heavily impact. Those are very situational cartoons where you can't really take it as a wacky thing in order to like it. You have to look at it like, oh, this is tight. I love the drip. I like Lily, how Lily, oh, they're trying to hustle and stuff like that. Angelica's trying to sell money at school, this, that. That's how you have to view those cartoons. You can't really view them like a nerd, like Lily. I view those cartoons all styles. That's why I got the idea of Angelica. So what really gave me the inspiration is Lily, I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna watch this show. So what happened is I used to like Lily watch certain cartoons high that Lily I feel like, oh, I'm a grown man, there's no, but I pick certain ones, like try watching something like Curse and Cowardly Dog High. It will blow your fucking mind because of Lily, how animated it is. It makes you feel like you're on a shroom. Lily, try getting high, smoking weed, and watching something like Courage and Cowardly Dog. It's a very mature cartoon. So I got that same idea. So Lily, I was walking home, and Lily, where it got me the idea to watch All Grown Up is like, you know that show got heavily criticized back in the day. What if I decided to watch it on my own, for my own amusement, now that I'm older, now that I have hella girlfriends, now that I'm basically a fucking 20-year-old fucking teenager and shit, like, let me watch it now that I'm an adult, but let me watch it now high. So this all spread out. The idea from the A and B, all this spread out. Like, let me watch Rugrats All Grown Up high. So you can't literally criticize me. Why don't you watch the original Rugrats? Sorry, this is real. So this is where I got the idea of Angelica. So this is Nonz, the Angelica project.